It's 2 p.m. Detroit, and you know what that means. Detroit media icon Ryan Ermanni, University of Michigan great Braylon Edwards, and of course, Maz are about to take over on Woodward Sports. Every day, 2 to 4 p.m., it's the best Detroit sports talk on Detroit's best sports network, Woodward Sports.
Hey, let's go. Wednesday show, July 24th, 2024. Ermanni and Edwards with Mass, Woodward Sports Network, woodwardsports.com. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe to Woodward Sports, tell a friend about us as well. Braylon Edwards, great to be back in the saddle with you. Good afternoon to you.
Great to be back in the saddle with you guys as well. Excited to be here. You see the Michigan today, Tom Mazaway. Renewed vigor about the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. Yesterday, I went to Sharon Moore's camp. Not camp, but his golf outing. And you know how these golf outings are, whether it was Hardballs, whether it was Lloyd, whether it was Greasy and Woodson, who was also there. They have all the kids there. All the players are there. There are a couple per hole, 4 or 5 guys. Pause. And you get a chance to interact with these young players. You get a chance to interact with these national champs. But afterwards, they did the award show. They did the live auction, and they gave Coach Sharon Moore a chance to address the donors, address the people that are putting in this money in. I am actually very, very at peace with the decision of Coach Sharon Moore. I was trying to work myself into that, if you will. But watching him talk about the kids, watching him tell the message about how hard they're working in the offseason. But the first thing he talked about the NIL. He talked about the importance of the NIL. He talked about the importance of these donors and these alumni bases and, the Circle of Champions, which is the group that puts on these outings for Coach. Talk about the importance of that and getting involved with your institution and your alumni base. Woodson was there. Lamar Woodward was there. You look down the list, the eras were there, the 70s were there, the 80s and 90s, 2010s and the 20s. They really are roping everyone back into Michigan. They really are turning into one of these proud institutions. I remember going to Texas for games. I remember going to LSU for games. I remember going to that place down south in Columbus for games. And you just see the alumni bases down there. You just see how easy it is for them to pull on things. You see national championship trophies. And you just see the aura about institutions that win and what it does. I think Michigan is now in that space, man, and being up there with all my former alums, being up there with the current teams, my nephew included, Michael Pollard. I made a 22-foot putt while he was watching.
Oh, my gosh. Yes, you did.
But it's just fun. It was fun to be in that space. And Ryan, between you and I, how it is for me, it was fun to be back with the football program. And I think Michigan is going to do tremendous things. Do I think they're going to win the national championship? Who knows? 2
things about this, and Tom Mazaway, good afternoon to you, my friend. I just want to pick up on a couple of things that Braylon said. I don't think it's any secret that there has been a little animosity between you and the University of Michigan program under Jim Harbaugh, more so them towards you for things in the past than you towards them. And I think there is an opportunity, and you are the greatest receiver ever to play for Michigan in the over 100 years that they've been playing football, and it's a shame that you have not been on the sidelines for a game. It's a shame that you have not been the captain for a game as an alumni, and I hope that changes under Sharon Moore, and it should change under Sharon Moore, and I'm glad you got that opportunity yesterday. That stands alone. Second part about this, and Tom, I think you were the one that said this to me. The closer we get to the season, the more you're going to be all in. I will tell you. I will tell you, when Jim Harbaugh left Michigan, the way he did, it felt like a part of me left.
Yeah.
That part is now back. I'll just be honest with you, because like college football, yesterday's college football, that traditional style of college football, where you're playing for the love of the game and, just the college football that I grew up with left. And I have understood now over the last couple of months that college football is in a new phase, and that's okay. And the perfect coach under these circumstances is Sharon Moore. There isn't one thing. Now, granted, they have not played a game this year, but there is not one thing that he has done this offseason that I would have disagreed with.
Yeah.
He has absolutely spiked the football on this offseason. His attitude, his approach, everything has been just spiking the football, and I just cannot wait for Michigan football. I am all in on Sharon Moore. I am all in on Michigan football.
Two things. First thing, I wrote it down literally before you even said it. It says Sharon and it says bridge. You're absolutely correct. Sharon is the bridge. When you listen to him talk, look, granted, Jim Harbaugh, he's an iconic coach, won the national championship. You saw everything he did in 8 years, blah, blah, blah. Look, he's gone. That day is gone, and coaches like him are far and few in between. You got to have a guy that's a little younger. You got to have a guy that's more connected. You got to have a guy that's kind of silly, doesn't take it so that serious, but knows how to get the message across. You say what you want to about Sharon Moore, who was on that sideline when they beat Penn State in Happy Valley. You can say what you want to about 42 runs and blah, blah, blah. They got the job done. Also got the job done against Ohio State at home. I don't care who was coaching during the week. Sharon Moore had to make those in-game decisions on that sideline, whether they were the best team or not. So he got that done. The team has seen that. And I think he's right. He said the first thing I had to do when I got the head coaching job, he said it wasn't a go out on the road. He said I had to re-recruit my players. So he talked about recruiting his players, talked about building that bond. And I think the thing that stands out is what he said last. He said, look, the culture and the identity is already here. We've built that over the years. I was here when we built that up. So these players know how to operate in that space. So yeah, I think it's going to be a hell of a season. Ryan, I tell you this, though. I will never get used to seeing a national championship trophy. Because in 97, when they won it, it wasn't what it is now. The gold with the black and lifted up didn't look the same. I had to look twice the first time I saw it. Like, legitimately, I go upstairs, I'm about to get food, I'm talking to Mike Martin. Shout out to Mike, hell of a guy. And I glanced over, trophies right here. And I had to look again. I've never been that close to the national championship trophy. And now it resides. And sorry, Joel, I know this is a lot of Michigan love. I know you got Michigan State over there, but it's until you beat us, we are reigning, defending national champions.
People got to pay money to see that trophy.
They
have a tour of that area of Michigan Stadium and Schembechler Hall. You pay to walk through that championship area.
It's worth it too. It's worth it.
I'm just saying, man.
You pay to go to Canton. I mean, this isn't Canton. Hey. But to your point, you see Desmond's Heisman Trophy. You get to see Charles Woodson's Heisman Trophy.
I'm ready to go, man. Like I said, I'm re-energized as well. Hey, there's only one Jim Harbaugh. He's gone. Yeah. But he took us where he promised he would take us. Did he not? He fulfilled his promise. They paid him the money. Then they treated him like garbage. He still finished the job. He left for greener pastures. We wish him the best with the Chargers. But Sharon Moore's got this team. He recruited these kids with Jim Harbaugh. And it looks like they don't lose. They haven't lost any players, maybe one or two. He is keeping these players. And when you don't hear news about schools, you don't hear about Michigan.
News is good news.
Yeah, it's all good news. So, like you guys said, Bray, I'm re-energized. I'm ready to go. And it's coming. What is it, 40 days away or something like that?
It's almost less than that. Labor Day weekend. Joel in the audio booth today. Shout out to you. Great job, young man. Great job learning that booth and getting in there and executing right off the bat. The great Pete Spivak is here as well. Just back to that. We'll just stick with college football for a little bit.
Did you see what Heather Dinich predicted?
I did. Let me just say this.
Intern Alex today, by the way.
Absolutely. Intern Alex, part of our Wolverine Wednesday, is going to be in studio in hour number 2. But I just want to pick up on something you said, Maz, before we get to Heather Dinich. You mentioned Jim Harbaugh. One of the things he did for fans and Sharon Moore as well, last season was the season and the standard by which all future coaches and teams will be judged by.
Yep.
You now know that you can compete for a national championship. Yeah. You now know that at Michigan, beating Ohio State and winning the Big Ten championship is not the creme de la creme.
Yeah.
You now know that just making a college football playoff isn't your ceiling. Mm-hmm. You now know that you can win the national championship. That's what Team 144 did. And that's the standard by which Team 145, 146, 147, 210, that is the standard that they will be judged by.
Facts.
It's so funny. Like, it feel like it was a continuous step to get to that national championship, Maz. It was, you know what? Michigan's good enough to win the Big Ten, but they're not fast enough. Right. Well, you know what? Michigan's, they're now getting fast enough, but they don't have the offensive skill set position. Well, they're kind of getting that, but they don't have the DBs on the outside to contend with the Georgias, to contend with the Alabamas. Well, you know what? They just don't have the quarterback. They don't have the quarterback that can take you to the next level. Where they don't have, it was always something. And they kept checking off a box at a time.
All they do is run.
And still, all we do is run.
Saying,
but you know what?
That's the word, right?
Yeah, I talked to Sharon for a brief second. I talked to Samaj Morgan. I talked to Colston Loveland. It's so funny when those guys see guys that they know, but they don't recognize them.
Right.
Like, it was a couple guys in there, Colston Loveland. There was a couple guys that, like, when Woodson came in, somebody said, that's Woodson. There's like a kid on the team that had never seen Woodson before in person. He saw him. He was like, yo, that's Charles. Like, he almost broke down crying. This kid's like a sophomore on the team, but it's fun to watch that interaction. But they said, hey, look, don't be surprised if we're not running the ball every single play like we had before. So I'm not saying who said it. I'm just saying don't be surprised.
I'm just saying this is a very, very tough schedule.
Yeah, it is.
Probably top 5.
Thanks for knocking the wind out of myself, Maz.
Huh?
Thanks for knocking the wind out of myself.
No. But I'm going to do it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Because if they get through this schedule and still make the playoffs and then continue next year, maybe the schedule isn't as tough and they're better and they have better players and Alex Orji is your quarterback and all of a sudden, wow, this kid was really talented. Or whoever's sitting in the wings, and we'll talk to intern Alex in hour number 2. He'll get inside that team. But if you get by this season, 2-3 losses, compete hard, play tough, get a couple of upsets in there, and make the playoffs and make a run, it is only going to solidify that national championship team because players, kids from around the nation, like you said, Rye, they're not just going to look at Michigan and say, oh, I can just go there and maybe win a Big Ten. They are the national champs, man. And it's hard to win back-to-back national championships, back-to-back Super Bowls, back-to-back any championship. So it's going to be a tough season. But if they get through it and persevere, make that playoff, and make some noise, they're only going to go up from here. Honestly. Up from here.
And I'm not sure too much is expected nationally from them. You look at the On Sports Big Ten predictions, Michigan is finishing 4th here. Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Michigan. So you figure Oregon is a team that is coming in the preseason media poll for On3. Oregon's coming in. They're the darlings. Ohio State's $13 to $15 million in the offseason. That's what it's being talked about that they spent to try to beat Michigan and to try to win the Big Ten championship once again and to try to win that national championship. Penn State, for the life of me, I mean, that every year, Penn
James
State
Franklin,
is there.
The enigma.
Right.
How about the 18-team Big Ten?
18-team Big Ten, and they have Michigan State coming in at 16 on this poll. So 16 of 18 team. I do too. I think Michigan State should be on the left side of this column. They've got a good coach, a good quarterback, and they have some players.
They got Rutgers in the top 9.
Absolutely. Rutgers played pretty decent football last year. You guys been talking about
Greg Schiano for the past 3 years in terms of what he's
doing. I love Greg Schiano.
I want him to fall on his face.
I do too.
He's the son of a gun that teamed up with Ohio State.
I understand, but that doesn't mean he's not a good football coach. I do think he's a good football coach, and he's the right football coach for them.
They love him in New Jersey.
You talk about Heather Dinich. We saw it flashed on the screen moments ago. She predicts 3 losses for Michigan this year. I think most college football prognosticators will look at Michigan's schedule and say at least 3 losses for Michigan without even knowing anything. Texas, Oregon, and Ohio State, that's where it starts. And then you can look otherwise. Are they going to run the table in those other 9 games? I think this is good for Michigan. This is a good spot for them. We don't know anything about the quarterback. We don't know anything about them on offense yet. We do know about the offensive coordinator / head coach. We do know about Donovan Edwards. We do know about Samaj Morgan and Colston Loveland. And we do know the history of the offensive line. Aside from that, we don't know. That's why you go out there and play. You play with a little bit of an attitude. You play with a little bit of a chip on your shoulder and see what happens. But I think I'm more than comfortable with that assessment.
Me too.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with either. And also, too, like, this is the hardest time ever to rank college football teams. What I mean by that, Ryan and Maz, you don't know who's on them. This is the era of the NIL. You know, they're giving these guys money. A lot of times they're giving players money.
We know one school that bought everything.
100%, 13.5. That would be Ohio State correctly. But they don't have a quarterback. Do we know that this 13.5 can work? Because last time I checked, what was that school in Texas? Not named Texas, But they spent how much money in
Texas
oil?
A&M.
Guess what? That's right. And then they lost 8 games.
Yeah.
And then they lost 8 games. Just because you buy it doesn't mean it automatically
Jimbo
works well
Fisher
together.
Exploded on them.
100%. So Oregon is usually a team that's floating around 11 wins, so I understand that. Sarkisian, they're starting to come on to Texas, Ohio State. We don't know what the quarterback situation is. But just like you don't understand what they are, you don't know what Michigan is either. So 3 is fine, but you don't know what we have. I like it that way, like you said.
And, if you look at Michigan's schedule, I see Mike G back in the chat. Mike
What up, Mike G?
Yeah, Mike. And Mike had...
Season ticket holder.
I noticed he said he had been away taking care of death in the family. So we here at Woodward Sports, Mike, want to send our deepest condolences to you and your family. And so glad you're back in the chat. We appreciate you, buddy. But he says, Ryan, as a season ticket holder, I'm loving this schedule. And I think for a lot of Michigan fans that go to the games, you want to feel like you've gotten back what you put in. And that schedule over the last couple of years, while it was advantageous to get Michigan to where they wanted to go, and I was all for it in those terms, I do think it's better now that you've got a 12-team playoff. You can play teams like Texas.
Yeah.
And I do love the expanded Big Ten. And you're going to get to see USC and Washington and Oregon and teams like this. So it's fantastic.
You just hit the nail on the head, and it's so funny. Mads, when I was up in Ann Arbor yesterday, actually 2 days in a row, I was up with DMAC on Monday. But when I was up there, I forgot. I completely forgot that this is the year. And obviously we know this is the year. Oregon comes in, USC comes in, but it's still different when you see it. I saw the schedule on the board inside the pro shop, and you know that Maz, Ryan, I'm like, oh shoot, week 2 is Texas.
That's a pro schedule.
Week 4 is USC. I'm looking like, oh, Oregon's coming here. So what it made you do is I had to make a phone call and get my tickets.
Right.
Usually, Maz, because of being an alum, I get 1 ticket for free, and then I can buy the ticket next to it, a discounted price or whatever. I do it the week of. And whether it's Ohio State, whether it's Penn State, Michigan State, week of, get my 2 tickets.
Easy to get a ticket for Purdue.
100%. I'm not going to Purdue Boilermaker game. But this year, I'm like, hey, let me get it now. And we're still a month on. I still was kind of nervous. So things are changing. Did you get good
seats out of it?
I try.
Okay.
That's one thing Jim couldn't take from me.
Oh, boy. and your check's still cashing over there, right?
1,000%.
Okay, just check.
1,000%. 1,000%. So
do they have 5 home games out of the gate?
Yeah.
Wow. Fresno State, Texas, Arkansas State, USC, and Minnesota.
Wow.
Oh, man. You kidding me?
Then what?
Then they go at Illinois.
Okay.
Then they go at Washington.
Whoa.
At Illinois. Home against Michigan State.
Ooh.
Home against Oregon.
Wow.
Then in Bloomington.
Okay.
And then home against Northwestern, and then you wrap up the regular season against Ohio State and Columbus.
Jeez.
Pretty darn good schedule there, especially if you've got tickets.
Good for the fans, man.
Absolutely.
Like said, how many times can you watch? I'm sorry, Power Neck. How many times can you watch Eastern Michigan come in or Central Michigan? I'm
no doubt.
This is true.
It's boring.
Northern Illinois,
Bowling
Toledo,
Green. No offense,
Bowling
Pete
Green.
Spivak.
CMU. CMU is up there a lot. Go ahead, Joe. You got something?
I was gonna say, I think also since not a playoff is so expanded that they're not gonna really be scheduling, I guess, as the quote unquote cupcakes, because now they all right, we're gonna have that. We can't really have any week that felt like it was a free week. Even if we do lose, we would rather risk a loss against. Now they're at the point now where we would rather risk a loss against a good team to have that strength of schedule factor instead of just scheduling all weak teams and probably miss it because we went undefeated, but we played 6 teams that was below 500. So I think it's good for college football.
I think that's a great point, and I'll tell you this much too: with 12-team playoff, if Michigan's 3 losses this year are Texas, Oregon, and Ohio State, and they're all relatively competitive games, they're in the college football playoff, and they are battle tested, and they will be better at the end of the season than they will be at the beginning of the season. So this is not a bad thing at all.
One of those teams again, you know that team,
but that goes back to the expansion of the playoff as well. If you play the schedule, lose 3 games, there's no chance of being in a college football playoff of 4. If you play this schedule, first of all, I'm not sure you would even schedule Texas, although Texas was scheduled prior to the expansion of the playoff. I understand that. I get that. But, and to be honest with you, if you're Michigan and you lose to Texas week 2, I'm telling you, Michigan's going to be a lot better in week 13 than they are in week 2. So I wouldn't want to play them again if I were the Longhorns in some first round of the playoff.
Hey, the Longhorns might be in for it. They're coming to Ann Arbor. Michigan they've been planning for this game for over a year now.
Yeah.
They're going to be ready to play them.
Yeah.
I mean, Quinn Ewers is a great quarterback. Texas is a great team. Yeah. Sarkisian, I mean, they should have made the national championship last year. I mean, they fell short to Washington. Remember that game, the way it ended? Mm-hmm. That's a hell of a team. So that's a national championship game right there. It's a rematch, minus J.J. McCarthy and Blake Corum.
Right.
It's a rematch.
Whatever quarterback plays the best that game, and that sucks because right now, Quinn Ewers is one of the better quarterbacks in the country. He's a quarterback that's top of the list for the Heisman. I want to say he has the second best odds by most betting books. So it sucks. But whatever quarterback plays the best that game is probably going to win that game.
Arch Manning can't get a start. On that team.
He can get money, though.
And you know what? Good. It's almost good for him, right? I mean, take a seat. I
don't know how good it is. He's not playing.
If Arch Manning played one season at Texas, he'd probably be a top 5 pick in college football.
That's all he needs.
It's right. I mean, go sit, go develop, go learn, take your time, and then when you do get your opportunity, go kill it, and you're still going to be the number 1 pick of the draft or number 2 or 3.
Yeah.
We might see him in that game. You don't know what happens to yours.
Absolutely.
You might see Arch Manning in week 2 at Ann Arbor. I mean, I cannot wait for that game. Is that a day game?
The Texas game is big noon kickoff. It's a noon kickoff on Fox.
I wish that was a night game.
No, noon is where it's at.
Oh, man. To me,
you want to wait all day for that?
Yeah, that would have been great.
Oh, my gosh, not me.
That would have been a great Labor Day weekend game.
Yeah.
If you ask me.
We owe Texas. Last time we played Texas, Ryan, it didn't fare so well.
Well, I know. That was that Vince Young?
Man,
Rose Bowl?
Watching him was like watching
That was a tough game, man.
It was like, we should have won.
Yeah.
3 touchdowns and we still lose. Like watching him was like watching Bo Jackson on Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah.
Like legitimately, because they kept him in zone coverage with a spy. So first down, kept him in that he couldn't pass. Second down, kept him in that he couldn't pass and they couldn't run. We knocked Cedric Benson out of the game, rest in peace. We knocked him out of the game, I want to say, in the first or second series. So it really didn't have a backup running back, Selvin Young, I want to say. On third down, I don't know what the hell would possess our defensive coordinator, whose name I won't mention, to go all-out blitz every single time.
That wasn't Jim Herman, was it?
I didn't say it, you did. And every single time, Vince got to the sideline, he turned up the sideline, and it was adios amigo.
And Keith Jackson would say, oh
Nelly.
192 yards rushing he had on the rushing and 180 yards passing.
How did he fail in the NFL? How did that guy
not knowing how to use him? Not knowing really how to use him. He goes to Tennessee, he makes the Pro Bowl the first year, but not really knowing how to use him. And Jeff Fisher he's a piece of work to a certain extent.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Cody Engel in the chat brings up a good question, focusing on the 3 big games. But what non-3 big games are you most worried about on the Michigan schedule? At Washington, I don't care how bad somebody says they're going to be,
Washington.
or like if on this list it says Washington is number 10 in the Big Ten. 10 out of 18 teams. Going out to Seattle, Washington and playing a football game has never been an easy thing for Michigan to do.
Freshman year, game 2 of the year, we go out to Washington. We play them. Cody Pickett's the starting quarterback. Or no, Marcus Tuiasosopo. Marcus Tuiasosopo. There you go. That's a name from the past. We go out there. Maz, it's beautiful. It's off Lake Washington.
I know.
The atmosphere alone. Like, as a freshman, I wasn't ready for it. And it actually showed me why I wasn't starting. It proved to me I wasn't ready at that time. But it's loud as I don't know what. The 2 sides go against each other. It's sometimes when you go out there, it's an atmosphere. It's not necessarily the team that beat you. Yeah. It's the atmosphere and not being ready. So that's a game about. I talked to Samaj Morgan's father yesterday, who was at the golf outing. I said, hey, look, man, have fun when you're in Washington. But I said, let Samaj know, don't get caught off guard, because it is one of those type of atmospheres. It's a beautiful place to play.
Also, the 2 others for me would be both home games, thankfully, but USC. Just because of that coach on the other side, you know they're going to be able to put up some points, probably.
Even without Caleb.
We'll see what the Michigan's defense does, right? I mean, one of the best, among the best in the country, if not the best in the country still, with Will Johnson on the back end and Mason Graham along the defensive line. And then the other one for me is Michigan State.
Me too, man. I was just going to say, don't overlook them.
Absolutely not.
Them.
Absolutely not. I think it would be a mistake to overlook a team that you know nothing about. Like I said, they have a really good head coach. that comes from Oregon State. Not John L. Smith, but John Smith. And yeah, so I think they've got a running quarterback, a guy that can throw the ball like a missile down the field. So they've got some weapons. I'd be very concerned about that Michigan State game.
I was in Chicago this past weekend, family reunion on Kathy's side. My cousin Bernie and Shelly, they live in Seattle, and they have invited us to come, and they wanted to take us to that Washington-Michigan game.
Really?
I just might take them up on that and go out there. It's supposedly one of the greatest places you could go and watch a football game.
I got a chance to watch a game out there when I was playing for the Seahawks. I got a chance to go to another game, and it's just a beautiful drive, man. Because to get there, you have to drive through downtown. It's right off of downtown, and you pull into kind of like an old historic, like 1969, 1970s type of atmosphere. But then once you get to that stadium, man, it's just dope. It's beautiful. It's off the water. It's a great atmosphere, and I can see how when you got a guy like Michael Penix, when you have a Rome on the Dudensay, when you have a squad like they had last year and the year before that, it's a tough place to win a game with those. That's why it was such a home field advantage for those guys.
If the Seahawks were home that weekend, that would be just an absolute
get the 2-for-1
perfect weekend, man. I would definitely go if that was the case.
Get some Starbucks while you're out there.
Let me bring in Ohio State real quick here before I take a break.
Feinbaum took a shot at that.
Exactly. He did, and they've got a new offensive coordinator over there. Surprisingly, Chip Kelly is the offensive coordinator at Ohio State with all those shiny pieces, all those shiny toys. Here's what Ryan Day, Ohio State head coach, had to say about that new offensive coordinator.
In terms of the second part of your question, what he brings, for me, turning it over, I really wanted to have somebody that, had head coaching experience. Now, never thought that, you'd have somebody that was a head coach the way he has been in college and in the NFL and that background. And so it allows me a little, more of a peace of mind and certainly a lot of trust there. I mean, I trust Chip with my life, and that's a big part of anytime you're handing something over like that you've done, almost your entire career.
Ohio State's an interesting case, too, because they don't have a tough schedule this year. They play 2 games. They play Oregon in Eugene, and they play Michigan at home.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to count the Penn State game.
They got Michigan's schedule from last year.
Yeah. They open up with Akron. They play Western Michigan and Marshall. Those are their 3 non-conference games. And hey, God bless them. We did it. I will not knock Ohio State for scheduling that schedule. Akron, Western, and Marshall.
They get the tougher schedule the following year.
Absolutely. God bless you. But they don't have anybody to play other than in Eugene at Oregon.
This isn't anything because it's Ohio State. This is just something that I see on the outside looking in. I think the Ohio State could be in for a problem this year. This is why. You got a guy coming in, and Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly, all he's ever known is being the guy, whether it was at Oregon, whether it was at UCLA, whether it was at Philadelphia, for however short that was lived. He was the guy. He is the guy. He was the genius. He was the guy behind why Oregon was so good, why Oregon took off, why the Jersey Seals took off, why the Philadelphia Eagles dismantled. But he's been in that space forever, and now you reduce him to being offensive coordinator. I don't care that Chip Kelly said, well, look, man, it's no fun in coaching anymore. This is the best place to be to actually be a coach. And I don't want to hear all that.
Bull.
That's BS. Yeah. The offensive coordinator at Ohio State for the last 10 years plus has been the head coach. It's been Urban Meyer, and it trickled down to Ryan Day. It's been the offensive coordinator as well as the head coach. Now you mean to tell me Ryan Day is going to take the foot off the gas and not coach at all? He's going to let Chip Kelly do his thing. Then he says, I trust Chip Kelly with my life. How you just meet somebody and you say you trust them with your life? Like, man, I trust you with my life, but I wouldn't say that day one. It took us some time to get there.
Absolutely.
I knew I probably could, but in that particular moment in 2021 in August, I'm like, I like this guy a lot. Now I trust you with my life. You can't say that day one. This is forcing a relationship. This is forcing some continuity. There's going to be some issues at some point because if Brian Kelly's not getting it right and Ryan Day wants to jump in, but now Ryan Day has told him you can do whatever the hell you want to do, now you get this back and forth. Watch out for some back and forth between these two guys. They're both alpha males.
Yes. Chip Kelly might be the new head coach of Ohio State.
There we go.
Before you know it.
There we go.
Especially if they lose in Eugene.
Correct. Correct.
In a manner in which is being pushed around, right? I mean, Paul Feinbaum was like Dude.
He's killing Ryan Day.
He is. Yeah. And Big Ten Media Days are this week.
Did you see the Oregon duck in the water?
I didn't see that.
The huge blow-up Oregon duck.
I did not see that.
He'll show you. It is hilarious. They threw it in. I think it was in Indianapolis. They might even have. Did they have one in Paris too? That might have been something different. But the Oregon duck, this huge blow-up duck, was in the water. I don't even know what water is it by Indianapolis. But I'm just saying, it was a funny picture.
Oh, my gosh.
They got a great PR staff there at Oregon. You got to check this out, man.
Yeah, mascots, all the rage.
But it's their way of getting into the Big Ten. I think it's pretty cool.
I mean, the Big Ten certainly has all the best mascots now, where you've got the Oregon Duck, the Sparty, the Trojan. Look at this guy. That's fantastic. Good for the Ducks.
I think that's so cool.
That is awesome.
This is Chicago.
That thing?
That's Phil Knight, right?
Unbelievable.
You're what Phil Knight said.
That's right.
Whatever it takes.
Guys, we are going to take a break. When we come back, day one of Lions training camp, you'll hear from Dan Campbell and the comparison he's making from 20 years ago that he will not allow the Detroit Lions to do. We'll have that for you. But first, the message from the Boys and Girls Club of Southeast Michigan.
Register now at the Boys and Girls Club of Southeast Michigan. Tackle, football, and cheerleader. 3C Sports. This is the way to go, Southeast Michigan. I told you I was a part of the Boys and Girls Club back in the days. They know what they are doing. You can enter your girl, your boy, it doesn't matter. Get them involved. Ages 5 to 14 in summer. Got to get them involved. Get them out the house. Get them doing something fun. Outside of the video games, outside of the digital space, there is fun. 3C Sports. Now they do it, and we back. And while you're at it, you might as well go to Planet Fitness. Get yourself a membership with over 50 metropolitan locations. Planet Fitness, simply put, is the best gym. You see it right here. You see what it is, or it's that way. Whichever way it is Planet Fitness, home of the no judgment zone. That's right. We're not judging you. We just want you to come out, get a good workout in, because our fitness fits in your budget.
Thank you to the Detroit Lions and Sheila Ham for the best season in Lions history. Now it's time to let Brad Holmes cook. Woodward Sports.
Braylon Edwards here, Premier Pet Supply. Man, just looking around, who's got it better than pets? Come on, a baby stroller for Coda. A chef for Lola, really? You don't have to tell me who the real boss here is. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody, especially here at Premier Pet Supply. For over 30 years and more than 13 locations, Premier Pet Supply has everything that your pet can dream of, and guess what? It's all under one roof. Premier Pet Supply, family owned, operated, and proud to call Metro Detroit home. Check out premierpetsupply.com or scan the QR code today. Who's got it better than pets?
Nobody! A network for the city, by the city. Woodward Sports is Detroit Sports.
The Ally Challenge presented by McLaren is back August 22nd through 25th at Warwick Hills and Grand Blanc. Be there for PGA Tour Champions Golf, Family Night, concerts, and more. Tickets start at just $15. Get yours at allychallenge.com today.
The most talked about Detroit media by other Detroit media, and we love it. It's the Woodward Sports Network.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles, and with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
Congratulations to the real Coach of the Year, Motor City Dan Campbell.
Just put your head down and go to work. It's about to be fun, man. It's about to be fun.
Woodward Sports.
Bit of a new home, but feeling a financial pinch? Well, Mark White and Associates, your trusted real estate experts, are here to help. Mark White and his team will pay up to $5,000 of your closing costs. You heard me right. That's $5,000. Call Mark White and Associates today. 248-290-8242. Visit them online at markwhitesells.com. Again, call Mark White today. It's 248-290-8242 to make your dreams come true.
And let me tell you about Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Awesome is where a guy can be a guy and get an amazing haircut. That's Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Stop in, sit back, relax. Let one of Lady Jane's talented stylists make you look and feel great. You could walk in anytime. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, 7 days a week. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome. Lions training camp today out in Allen Park. Get a look at some of the players coming in right now.
Training camp days, baby, we back. Live in the fit. You already know what time it is, man.
It's that time of year again. Get back in the building. Get going with the guys. Get the chemistry back going. It's good to be here.
Another one. Locked in. Loaded. Back to business, baby. Training camp number 1. Me and my dog. Training camp number 1 for me and my dog.
You're too low. I'm good go.
About to have some fun this year. It'll be crazy. Oh yeah, I can cuss. Damn, my bad.
As has become customary, every start of training camp over the last 4 years, Dan Campbell doing down-ups. Are they up-downs or are they down-ups? Braylon, what are they? Up-downs or down-ups? We used to call them down-ups. He calls them up-downs. So are they up-downs?
Up-down.
Really?
Up-down.
Dang.
Who the hell cares what they call? I couldn't do one.
I know. He said, and he told Dan Miller earlier today, they have a training camp special tonight, that whistle was the quickest whistle he's ever had on any down. He said he barely got off the ground, but hey, he's giving it a shot. Lions football, here we go.
How about it, man?
You know,
it's something about it as a player. I guess as coaches as well. It's for everybody. Everybody has their own process, and when you think about whether it's fans as well, when you come in training camp and when it starts. But as a player, it's just so much fun because you put whatever happened last season, man. I think that's the best thing about training camp. When you finally get there, whatever happened last season, it's all over. That season's over. The off season's over. The draft is over. Mini camp is over. OTAs, involuntary, whatever you want, it's now over. You go into that day, walking into the stadium or walking into wherever. When I was with the Jets, we were at Cortland, University of Cortland, which is up in northern New York, by Syracuse. But when you go in there, it's that energy, Ryan, because the optimism is there. Some teams, the optimism isn't high as others because some teams aren't necessarily good teams. I played for the Browns, so it was, I hope so. But when you play for a team like the Lions, you know what's there, and it's not just potentially getting to the playoffs. The optimism is you're going to win the Super Bowl this year, so that's the energy that these guys have.
And also the energy, one of the big, headlines over the last 24 hours has been like the Lions come into training camp at basically, Lions playbook 401. If you in college, the easiest courses are 101. You're taking the very basic course. Econ 101, very basic
Psych
stuff.
101.
Psych 101, very basic stuff. Psych 401, very difficult. Econ 401, very difficult, very intricate, very detailed. He said the Lions come in on day one at level 401.
Wow.
He's like, this is, I believe...
Year 4.
This is year 4. I believe the defensive coordinator is the longest tenured defensive coordinator in football right now.
Amazing.
And the offensive coordinator is calling, he has been in the position, he is, aside from head coach, he's the offensive coordinator in the NFL that has called plays the longest, aside from any head coach. This staff is intact. The players know what the expectation is. Dan Campbell said they all came in great shape. There are some injuries that they are dealing with. Nothing major, but here's what Dan Campbell had to say today about the injured player.
I feel like everybody's really doing well. It's on schedule for where we picture them to be. To your point, we talked about Reeder. Reeder's on course, man. We're not in any hurry with him, but he's doing well. He's getting his strength back. The injury is healed. It's just a matter of getting him to that point where now we feel comfortable getting him out there competing around others. You'll see Davenport out there today. You'll see Branch out there today and walk through. So these guys are slowly going. I think Davenport's going to be a little quicker than Branch is. But they'll both be out there in some capacity, which is a good sign. So no setbacks. We're moving right along.
I think that's good news, too, about the players, too. Davenport going to be out there, and, nothing major with Reeder, right? They're just taking their time on him. So here we go. Players are ready.
Yeah, players are ready, and players stay here. This is a good thing about how the Lions have built their culture here, how they built the identity. Guys work out in the offseason. Guys, whether it's somewhere away when they have free time, not necessarily when it's destined to be here, but guys are working. You see guys. Aiden Hutchinson is seeing the younger defensive ends. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's looking at the wide receivers. He's working with Jameson Williams. They're working with Ben Johnson. Aaron Glenn is working with his defensive players. He's working with Jack Campbell and taking the next steps in year 2. He's working with Brian Branch, working through this injury. So this is going to be good for this team. Everything we talk about them is positivity, and it's the identity. It's the culture. And I know we keep saying this. I know you guys are tired of us beating a dead horse, but it is just that. It's a culture that they build here, and that culture is winning them games. Can't wait to see what they do. But don't worry about DJ Reeder. Don't worry about Davenport, just them only going through walkthroughs. Don't worry about Brian Branch. These guys have already done this. They've already shown this. Like, I have 2 training camps. I came in and I didn't do things right away. One was I came off my ACL injury, and another time is I had a plantar fasciitis situation. Mm-hmm. They saw what I could do before training camp and knew that I would be ready. They just took the time to get me ready so that when the season started, I could be locked and loaded for what mattered. Not day 1 of training camp, not week 1 of training camp. What matters is the season. They know where guys are, and they're going to take the time getting them there. So don't worry.
3 wins. 9 wins, 14 wins. Year 4. Mm-hmm. Ready to go, man.
12.
They just follow the trajectory.
Game extra 2 wins.
Follow the trajectory.
he 14
playoffs. Wins, playoffs.
He counted playoffs.
Yeah. Oh, you don't let me shut up then.
Dan Campbell said, too, like, this is the players' team. He said when you first come in and you start year 1, you've got a bunch of younger players, some veterans, but a bunch of younger players, and everybody looked at the coaching staff as like the leaders of the team and looked to the coaches for how they wanted things done. He's like, at this point in our program, it's the players' team now. He's like Sewell, 4th year, Amon-Ra, 4th year, Decker, Ragnow, Alex Anzalone, just naming all these players that have been in the program for multiple years now, coming into their own. Goff's team, it's Sewell's team. Look to those guys.
They're all richer too.
They are, and they've earned that money, and they've also earned the respect of their teammates too by the work that they put in. And this was probably one of the biggest things that came out of today. This is a soundbite. I'm going to play it for you. Dan Campbell talking about how this team will not be complacent.
We are not going to lose our identity. That is the most important thing to me, and I won't sacrifice it for anyone or anything. I told the team that. They know that.
So this is the story that preceded that comment. He was talking about how 20 years ago when he was a player for the Giants, they were 12-4 and went to the Super Bowl, lost in the Super Bowl. And they brought back the entire same team next year.
Ravens.
They brought back everybody, and they finished that next season 7-9.
Yep.
He said that next season they came back to camp, and it was, hey, no shoulder pads today. Hey, no practice on Monday. Who's ready for a walkthrough on Wednesday? And this, he's like, we completely lost our identity. We completely lost everything that allowed us to get to that Super Bowl the year before. We will not, for nobody, no one, nothing, we will not stop working. And he talked about how this team isn't going to live off their reputation. They're going to live off their work. And I just thought that was you just want to wrap your arms around a guy and say, man, where you been for the last 6 months?
Get the chills.
Yeah.
I've seen it on both sides. I remember when I was playing for the Cleveland Browns, we went 10-6. Mm-hmm. We were 7-1 at home.
You've been talking about that a long time.
Because it's true. It's crazy. We didn't make the playoffs,
and
but
we fall on your face.
We went 10-6. We thought we were the bee's knees. We thought we were, you know what? We came back that next year. We were taking a lot of time off in practices. Coach was giving us a little more space, a little more of this. Oh, you'll get it next time. Drop a pass. Oh, you'll catch that in the game. Forget the plays or things of that nature. And it was happening amongst both sides, including the special teams. And then next year we went 4-12. It was an ugly year. It was a 4-12 year. On the opposite side, when I was with the Jets, we go 9-6 or 9-7, barely make the playoffs. We came back that off season, and you can see, like you're saying, Ryan, you can see the guys that have been vested. You can see the Darrell Reeveses who are coming up on 3 years. You can see Nick Mango, who was coming up on year 5, year 4, DeBrickashaw Ferguson, Sione Poole, guys that have been there and kind of built that Jets team from when they were 7 wins into 8 wins into 9 wins into this one. So they were very determined. When we would lose, when adversity would strike, they handled it different because they had been through it and they've gone through it together. So it was fun to watch, and I think that's what you'll see with the Detroit Lions. They may go 11 wins, but you'll see them handle things very professionally, and they win the North.
We don't live off reputation. We live off work. That was the message to the team, Maz.
Sweet, man. Hey, and this is a team that we know they have a first-place schedule. And back in the 90s, when the Lions would be very competitive and they'd come back with the first-place schedule, they used to fall on their face. But this isn't that team. I've told you already. 3 wins, 9 wins, 14 wins, including playoffs last year, and this is year 4. This team has been built for this. This team is built for the long haul. Not only do they draft well, they bring in free agents that they really believe in. This Amik Robertson, I think we're all going to fall in love with him. I really believe that's the kind of guy that they want. The Sione Vaki that plays 3 different positions. Those are the guys they draft. J-Mo, here we go again. Supposedly built like you-know-what right now. Looks great, strong as they come. Nick Baumgartner put out a tweet today from The Athletic. Look what he wrote, Rye, about Jameson Williams.
Jameson Williams looks stronger through the middle, more explosive, with better body control in the air and near the sideline. If he had one hit the dirt today, I didn't see it. Literally looks like a different player from a year ago today. Not only did he say that, Maz, but I read a comment from Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
And we talk a lot about how we say that you could read between the lines how Dan Campbell talks about a player.
He don't hide.
The way he was talking about Jameson Williams, Braylon, was like, remember how we were talking about him negatively last year?
100%.
It was insane how far he was going in the other category. High praise for Jameson Williams. He could have a huge, huge year for this football
team. If that happens, it's over.
This is why you have to love when people are very honest with you. This is why you have to love when people tell you what it is. They don't sugarcoat things. They don't dance around things. And they just like, Ryan, you've been picking up on the energy of Dan Campbell when he's talked about Jameson Williams. Like, I give you the most credit. For a long time, he didn't sugarcoat him. When he wasn't doing the right things, he said, hey, we're just, he's not where we want him to be. But you look at it, it's 2024. Maz, he got drafted in 2022 at 20 years old. He's already injured. He's dealing with fame. He's dealing with money. He's dealing with all this. He's also dealing with injuries. He's dealing with not being a part of the team. Weighs heavy on your mental as a 20-year-old, especially when you're far from home for the first time. 2023, he's now trying to figure things out, but he has the gambling. Now he's 21 years old. And now he has last season where he figures things out towards the end of the year. They stick with him. The team sticks with him. Dan Campbell sticks with him.
2 touchdowns in the NFC Championship.
And now you see that there's something there. Now you can see why they fought for him. And now you see the offseason. Dan Campbell has told you that every turn, he's the most impressive player in OTAs. He's the most impressive player coming back to training camp. And now everybody's seeing what they see. How old is he now? He's 23 and he's ready for business. Now he's 23, he's ready for business, and he's had people believe in him. So sometimes it just takes time. But the Lions were able to give him the time that he needed, and this could be a very, very monster year for him.
Right. Let me take this away from you guys for a second. Pete, I want to play
John Brown.
John Brown. This is the Amon-Ra St. Brown podcast with his brother. It's the St. Brown Brothers podcast. This is Mr. Olympia, John Brown, talking about who the best bodybuilder on the team could be.
Okay, so name one NFL player, not me or Amon, that could have a career in bodybuilding, that has a good physique, I don't know if you've seen anyone's physiques.
I haven't seen with their shirts off. I would say Saquon Barkley looks like.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's hard to tell, Most of those guys that in my opinion, the guys, you're not going to believe this, but a guy like J-Mo, as skinny as he is, that dude has a lot of potential.
That's how you were.
Because he's all muscle.
That's how you were,
He's
right?
not a lot of fat, so all you got to do is put muscle on that guy.
Is that what you looked like when you were younger?
No,
like
I look good always. Shit.
But before you started bodybuilding, what did you look like?
Good. I always look good. I don't know. I always look good.
Yeah, but what's good, though? Like, what did it look like?
She's like a specimen.
But like J-Mo?
No, a specimen.
Okay.
I was all ripped up, everything, Yeah, see, y'all can't get me. See, I taught you, hey.
You're lucky the camera wasn't invented.
Hold on, Captain. I taught them everything they know. but I didn't teach them everything I know. That's the difference, see? So they can never get me. They don't come on with the question.
A great line.
That's Stan Edwards.
I heard a little bit of Stan Edwards in that answer.
That's my dad. My dad can play basketball better than I can. When I was younger, I got baseball. He gave me that. Football, he gave me that. Basketball, he didn't really teach me that. And I asked him one day because he can shoot. He can dribble. I can't dribble. I can just dunk. I get all that hustle, the effort, hustle points. He said, man, I ain't teach you everything. Dad plays basketball.
No, I love that line, though. I taught you everything you know, but I didn't teach you everything I know.
Yep. he saved a couple things, man. That's all good.
It reminds me a little of William Sanders as well. Barry's dad.
Jim Brown.
Yeah, I'm telling you. He always got something over his boys.
But you need people like that. Let me start back. You need fathers like that. But if you don't have a father like that, you need people like that to keep you humble.
Sure.
Because Amon-Ra St. Brown had 14 plus last year. He had 9 touchdowns. He made All-Pro. Who was the one person not named Equiminius that told him like, hey, you can do better. Don't rest on that. Don't think that you've arrived because you're an All-Pro. Don't think that you've arrived because you made the NFC Championship. And I guarantee you, Amon-Ra St. Brown funnels that same energy to the Detroit Lions locker room. He's bringing it straight from his father, and they're going to listen because they saw the kind of success that his father had in the world of bodybuilding.
Did you guys see the story that the Lions potentially could be in a little bit of hot water because of this receiver documentary?
Yeah, because they didn't say about the injuries.
They didn't reveal the Amon-Ra injury.
The oblique injury.
The oblique that tore off the bone. Now, I don't know what...
They'll pay a fine.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what happens. I mean, I'm sure they just write a check.
Yeah.
But nothing but
more than that.
But it also goes back to, are you in favor with the league or not at the time? Because the Falcons, the whole situation is going on with them and things like that. Nobody cares about the Falcons.
Right.
But the Lions, they're a darling right now. You saw what happened with J-Mo last year. 6 games turned into how many games?
Right.
Yeah.
So I think the Lions will be able to.
Is it 3 or 4? Did they knock it down?
They knocked it down to 4.
Okay.
And so he got 2 games off, got back a little earlier, but they'll be okay. Roger Goodell in the league, they'll sweep this one.
Can we play already?
Well, it's funny you say that. It's funny you say that, Maz, because just getting back to the Lions are playing at a college level 401 course. Dan Campbell said we are ready to play a football game today, and that's a testament to the continuity of the staff. That's a testament to all the players coming in shape and ready to go. He didn't mention one player, not even one player, outside of where they wanted them to be. Very, very high praise for the players' off-season workouts. He said, we are ready to play a football game today. Now, do you use training camp for a lot of different reasons, and, part of that is to sharpen up a little bit. But he said if they had to, they could play today.
When you don't have to use training camp to get guys in shape, like training camp back in the day, it was to get guys in shape for the season.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. Like then it turned into, okay, some guys, Jerry Rice, some guys are working out. Walter Payton, Sweetness, some guys you have to get in shape. Now it's to the point where if you get guys to work out in the offseason, if you get guys to come in ready, you don't have to spend that time getting guys in shape, which means, Ryan, you can work more on what is the game plan? What are we going to do? What's going to be week 1? What's going to be, how do we fine-tune what we worked on in the spring, what we worked on in the summer? How do we fine-tune it? We can get ready and get a jump on weeks 1, 2, and 3 early on in practice, because when you got guys that are tired, you got to get them in shape. You can't do as many plays. You can't run as many 2-minute drills. You can't run as many 4-minute drills. You can't do as many red zones because guys are tired. Guys are out of shape. Guys in shape gives you that edge so you can get to work right away.
And part of training camp too, Braylon, they just don't have the opportunity that they used to have. There's no more like 2-a-days. For instance, Dan Campbell was saying today, you get 90 minutes with these guys today. I think it was 90 minutes today. Where's my note here? 4 days of acclimation, then a day off, then full pads on Monday. Got to get their legs under them. But you get 90 minutes here, 90 minutes, then 2 hours, then 90 minutes again. The rules that the league has bestowed upon these teams and these players, it's a collectively bargained situation.
We don't need any Corey Stringer tragedies anymore. Yeah. We don't need that. Those days are over, man. Right.
Absolutely.
These are human beings, for crying out loud.
Absolutely, but I'm just speaking to the point of you don't have training camp to get in shape. Correct. The 90 minutes isn't doing nothing. Now you're talking about being at the facility from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and doing 3 practices and doing all that. I understand that's taxing on the body, and you shouldn't do that. But at the same time, just the opportunity isn't there anymore.
Yeah, you're right. It would take us a month to get, like for the season, it would take you a month to get your legs back after training camp. Like back in the day when I was in college, the first couple of years in the league, then they started going every other practice. We used to have like 32 practices, like 2 a day, 32 practices back in the day. That's what it was when you look at the schedule. Nowadays, it's a 1 a day, it's off a day. Then you can't do this, you can't do that. You can't have this many minutes in this particular time span. So it's good for them. But that means you got to be on your hustle in the offseason. You can't come in out of shape and use that time. You got to be ready. And I think that's where the Lions have been great. They've seen it. When you see it, it allows guys to really go for it. When you see 13-1, and then you see 9-8 the next year, and then you see 14. When you see 14 that next year, Maz, it makes you say it works.
Yes.
What we're doing works, and you just keep subscribing and you keep subscribing. So that's what they got going for us. You can see it in front of you. They're this close in their mind.
My stomach always hurts. Back in the day, I hated football practice. That's why I do what I do. I couldn't do it. To see these high school kids lugging their gear in 95-degree weather to the fields, never mind the pros. I'm just looking at the high school players.
Sure.
And if they started already, has high school started already, or do they start like next week?
I think next week.
I mean,
next week.
It's tough, man. It is tough to lug. I see those kids, and I was one of them back in the day. Rye, you played ball.
Absolutely.
Of course, Braylon did.
Maybe.
This is a tough part of the year to get ready for a season, man. You are working your butt off in this weather.
No doubt.
Humidity has always been very underrated here in the state of Michigan. So, growing up in Michigan, the lake effect, it was hot. You get to July, you're carrying, pads like you said, or some people ride their bikes to practice. That's another thing. Then you got the jugs of lemonade that you drink at home, and then you put water in them, you freeze them. So now you got ice in there during practice. I remember those days, and then you get school was hard back in the day. Man.
It was.
It was a lot of time.
No doubt.
Go home, finish homework, go to sleep at 10, just turn around, do it all over again at 6 a.m.
Absolutely. Guys, we're going to take a break. We'll talk some Tiger baseball. They lose yesterday to the Guardians, 5-4. Tough game. Jack Flaherty on the mound tonight. We'll talk about that. And we'll go around the NFL. Intern Alex will get back into some Michigan talk, too. All that and more coming up. But first, a message from Dr. Pierce.
All right, Dr. Pierce, that's our guy. We'll see him on Thursday, of course. You know, it's Do Not Miss Sports Injury Insights with Dr. Jeff Pierce of Michigan Sports and Spine. Join him every Tuesday during Big D Energy. He's with us here on Thursdays. Trust the guy at T-Mac and Braylon Trust. Dr. Jeff Pierce will keep you in the game, performing at your best. For more information, visit MichiganSportsandSpine.com or call 248-426-9944. For Dr. Jeff Pierce, make sure you tell him Woodward Sports sent you. And, of course, the best pet store around here in Michigan. It is PremierPetSupply.com. Family owned and operated for over 30 years. 13 Metro Detroit locations, over 60 brands of food at the lowest prices available, and nutritionists on call anytime you have a question about your beloved pet. Give your pet the best. Do not settle for less. It's PremierPetSupply.com.
Thank you to the Detroit Lions and Sheila Hamp for the best season in Lions history. Now it's time to let Brad Holmes cook. Woodward Sports.
Yo, let me just say, I love Planet Fitness.
Trying out Planet Fitness and dang, they got lots of equipment.
Not me getting a Planet Fitness membership just for the 24-hour perk.
Listen, the PF Black Card is worth every penny for this hydro massage. I'm a new man.
Did y'all know that the PF app has workouts you can do at home? Cheapest therapy I can find is Planet Fitness.
All the benefits, all for less. Planet Fitness, big fitness energy for all.
A network for the city, by the city. Woodward Sports is Detroit Sports.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles. And with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
The most talked about Detroit media by other Detroit media, and we love it. It's the Woodward Sports Network.
The Ally Challenge presented by McLaren is back August 22nd through 25th at Warwick Hills and Grand Blanc. Be there for PGA Tour Champions Golf, Family Night, concerts, and more. Tickets start at just $15. Get yours at allychallenge.com today.
Congratulations to the real Coach of the Year, Motor City Dan Campbell.
Just put your head down and go to work. It's about to be fun, man. It's about to be fun.
Woodward Sports.
Any Lady Jane's haircuts for men and claim your throne for a king's treatment from one of our talented stylists. Open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Just get to a Lady Jane's today and receive a precision haircut, scalp massage, hot lather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. A haircut should not be a chore. It should be an experience. And that's exactly what Lady Jane's has to offer. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins are always welcome. There's always a location near you. Lady Jane's haircuts for men. It's wicked awesome.
You smell that? That's Brad Holmes cooking. And the off-season smells good. Woodward Sports.
It's the crispy chicken, the pizza, or the Nashville Hot, which is back for a limited time. Soroki's is the place to be. The Nashville Hot features the pizza, the chicken sandwich, the tenders, and the fries. But they also have fresh salads, they have fresh sides, and oh, by the way, you know they have those biscuits. Biscuits are smooth, add a little honey on those things. The right Soroki's popping up all over metropolitan Michigan. And we're not just saying that it's a read. We vouch for it. So do I. Nashville Hot, limited time only.
Looking for a new, pre-owned, need some service? Les Stanford got you covered. And Les Stanford has added, by the way, the Buick GMC brand. So now all 4 GM brands under one umbrella. That's the Les Stanford. Buick GMC dealerships located in Ferndale on Woodward Avenue, just south of 9 Mile. Looking for a Chevy or a Cadillac? Les Stanford in Dearborn, where they have been on Michigan Avenue for over 55 years. You can find the brand you want under one umbrella. LesStanford.com, LesStanford.com.
Together, let's drive.
That's right. You can drive on over here to Woodward Sports, hour number 2 of the program. First hour filled with Michigan talk and Lions talk. Had some fun doing that. But I do want to turn our attention to the Detroit Tigers.
We did an hour on the Tigers yesterday.
I'm sure.
And it went great.
I'm sure.
I mean, it is trade deadlines less than a week away.
Till nighttime.
It's fun, man.
Yeah.
It's fun talking baseball again.
And that's all, Ryan. That's all you've ever asked for. That's all you've ever asked for in the last 3 years is the Tigers to be competitive, the Tigers to keep you interested in the summertime so that you can get to the football season and maybe even be in a pennant race towards the end of the season. And so far, so good.
That's a good team they played last night, and they battle with them.
Yeah. And Jose Ramirez hits a homer to give the Guardians a lead. And it's just like the last 2 times they had an opportunity to get to 500, they have lost the game. And you just don't know which direction this thing is going to go. You know, if you follow Jeff Passan on ESPN, you know, Jack Flaherty's name is the likely name that teams are looking at. You wouldn't have to give up what you'd have to give up for Skubal. Mark Canna, Gio Urshela, Carson
Canna's
Kelly.
Playing good ball right now.
Exactly. And these guys are going to be a commodity. How much do you believe you're in this thing? That's really the case. I mean, you're down Reese Olson now.
Right.
So you're already playing with 2 bullpen games?
Yep.
Yeah.
They played a bullpen game yesterday and almost won the damn thing.
Yeah, they did.
Listen, yesterday I talked about the trade I believe must happen. And I'll bring it up again.
Please.
They got to trade Tarek Skubal to the Orioles. It's the perfect marriage. I mean, perfect. And I know Gibby, God bless him, I love him. And last week he was on with us, and he said you got to sign him. I say you got to trade him, and you got to trade him to the Orioles. And I brought it up yesterday. He brings you Jackson Holliday and maybe 2 other, not maybe, you'll get 2 other prospects. Maybe their top 2 guys or 1 and 3, maybe a 5th guy, whatever. But whoever you bring over from the Orioles will immediately fit into your lineup. So you could call it selling, you could call it buying. It's the same thing because whatever the Tigers bring in, they're not going to be able to afford Tarek Skubal going forward. This is the kicker. Chris Ilitch ain't going to pay this kid $400 million, which he is going to get in his next contract. So why F around? Get the players now from the Orioles. They are this close to competing for the World Series. Skubal puts them right there in the top 3 teams in the league, and you get their best can't miss kid in Jackson Holiday. You put him at short. You got a guy that comes in, and his name, I forget his name. The guys talked about him yesterday, Matt Brewer especially. You plug him in at third, and then whoever else you get, great. An outfielder, terrific. That's 3 position players. We're not going to win this year. I already know that. We know that. But you could be competitive, and then next year is when you pounce with the team that you're going to get from the Orioles. You've got to make this deal. You have to.
Francis J in the chat, we appreciate that, said, Tommy, baby, they love you, man. They gave you some love in the chat.
Thanks,
so
Francis.
I saw it and wanted to bring it up to you. Imagine, you know, I love baseball, but I'm a novice as it relates to making trades and what matters and, you know, what looks like what equates what. My only question to that is Tarek Scrooge, you look at what's his record this year?
He's phenomenal.
Is he 8-1?
He's 12 wins.
So exactly. 12 wins.
Leads the league in ERA.
100%.
He's going to win the Cy Young.
If we get rid of him, can we find 12 wins? Like, can we find 12 more wins?
Yeah.
Realistically, do you trust the pitching staff enough, and do you trust adding those batters will help what we already have? The kind of Riley Green, who's starting to turn the corner, et cetera, et cetera.
You're not going to win this year.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But you're going to win next year. You're going to be in the playoff hunt, and going forward, you're going to be a player. And then you signed a couple of free agents. Listen, Rye, they're not going to pay Skubal $400 million. So why even mess around? Trade the guy now while he is at his peak and get peak return.
Okay.
I understand it. I'm very uncomfortable with maybe who we are then as a.
Who are we?
That makes us a small market team.
That's what we are.
I don't know if we are, man.
We're a small market team.
I don't know if we are. One of the things that Jim Leland talked about at his Hall of Fame press conference, our Hall of Fame induction, was for 3 years, this team put 3 million fans in the stands. And I think that makes you much bigger than a small market team. And, you know, Mike Ilitch proved that if you spend, they will come. And it's just
the Field of Dreams right there.
That's a really hard kind of reality to come to grips with. There's a lot of money there. And there's an old saying in finance, to make money, you got to spend some money.
Mm-hmm.
And
we're not going to.
And you can only, how many World Championships have the Oakland A's won?
Plenty.
Since they started doing this
Billy Beam,
Billy Ball or whatever they call it.
They haven't.
They haven't. How many World Championships, for as good as they've been, have the Tampa Bay Rays won?
They've been in 0-2.
Yeah. I don't know of a small market team. You know, Kansas City did win the World Series. I think it was 2017.
How about the Diamondbacks?
They had Zach Greinke on the team, you know, who was a Cy Young Award winner at that time.
Diamondbacks were loaded.
You have to have.
Yeah.
Not last year.
But they didn't win it either.
Oh, true.
Right.
You know,
I'll take a World Series, guys. I want to be in the game.
Okay, let me ask you that. No, because we have been in the game and we didn't win. And here we are still talking about that. The question I wanted to ask you, is it because of his father spending what he did for Miggy, spending what he did for Verlander, spending what he did for Prince, spending all that money in that space, going into and never winning one? Chris is younger. Chris has seen this. Chris saw that we spent all this money. We did all those things. We went after those players, and we still didn't get the job done. Is that something that's probably jaded him, and that's what he sees, and that's what he feels it is?
Well, maybe they didn't win, but I guarantee you they made a lot of money over those years.
They did. Best 10-year stretch in Tiger history.
I'm just looking at World Series championships.
Scared though.
And the Royals won in 15, by the way.
Yeah.
So 10 years ago. Texas Rangers, all in.
Yep.
Look at how much money they spent last year.
All in.
They bought a world championship.
They're usually all in.
Texas sports are different.
Yeah.
Houston Astros, all in.
But a lot of homegrown talent.
But pay Justin Verlander. They had Garrett Cole.
Yep.
And you paid those guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Prior to that, 2021, Atlanta Braves at the trade deadline literally traded and got a whole new team.
But they won without their best player. They won without the MVP.
Acuna?
I'd like to look at what the payroll was in 2021 to go back, though.
I don't think it was that much.
Well, They got a whole new outfield, I'll tell you that.
They went and got Jock Peterson, a couple players.
The Los Angeles Dodgers in 2020.
Oh, God.
Money.
In 2019, the Washington Nationals. How much money did they spend on Max Scherzer?
Juan Soto was amazing in that World Series, by the way.
Then they broke it all up.
Prior to that, Boston Red Sox, Houston Astros, Chicago Cubs. You did have the Kansas City Royals there, but then the San Francisco Giants, the Boston Red Sox, San Francisco. I mean, over the last 10 years, the game has changed.
You got to spend.
You got to spend to even get there.
Look at the NBA.
Ryan, you believe in your heart of hearts, the two of you, you believe that Chris Ilitch will take $400 million and pay Tarek Skubal. And not only that, Broder brought this up yesterday. He doesn't even have a network. No one can watch the team.
Mm-hmm.
So what's he going to do in a couple of years? Maybe with Gores. Maybe he puts his own TV network together. That costs money. So give up Skubal and his $400 million and get 3 players that you don't have to pay for 4 years.
I agree with you.
3 studs that you don't have to pay for 3 years.
It's an interesting concept, but that's assuming you could because, that Garrett Crochet in Chicago, you could probably get him and not have to give up a Jackson Holiday or somebody like that.
We'll see. I doubt it.
And that's
who else though?
Yeah, right.
He ain't Skubal.
Yeah. Broder says they paid those guys after they identified their core and let them develop to be key at Major League Baseball. Buying a bat and arms for a playoff run, Tigers are 3 years from that minimum. If they're 3 years from that, and maybe they are.
Without those players, right, he needs.
Yeah.
Without trading this away, without making this trade, they're 3 years away from doing anything.
Well, then they've really made some mistakes in their organization.
Yes,
then
they made terrible drafts. Look at Wyatt Langford, what he's doing for Texas. The kid hit for the cycle almost twice already.
Oh, that's right.
And who do we have? Max Clark in A-ball.
Right.
Keep hearing good
things.
Wyatt
Langford was taken after Max Clark.
It's maddening. It is maddening. But we'll see.
Go Tigers.
If they finish 3 games out of a wild card spot, staying the way they are, Wyatt Langford, the wins above that category, he's going to be worth at least 3 wins above. At least.
How different do you think this would be right now if they had Wyatt Langford? And they're 6 games out of a wild card right now. I guarantee you they'd be 3 games out of a wild card right now.
Maybe less.
Maybe less.
Maybe less. How many 1-0s have we lost? How many 2-1s have we lost?
A ton.
Like in those spaces, all you need is a bat. And you look at one bat, you say, one bat can't do that. But one bat can generate hits, can generate
those wins
energy.
Yeah,
you can't get those wins back.
It generates energy. Other players now hit. You get into that vibe, you get into that groove. Everybody in the dugout is feeding off each other. Like, that's what it does. So he might be 3, but then you add in that energy, that might be 5.
And then throw
6.
your guy in, JD Martinez.
Right. It's a different season if that was the case, right? It's a different season, much different.
But the way it sits now, we know they're not going to win this year. But they're playing good baseball. Make the deal with the Orioles. It's the perfect marriage. And do it now.
I was going to say.
And that's the knock. And I think that's the double knock on Chris Ilitch and then Scott Harris just this particular year. Obviously, we're going to give Scott Harris enough time. He still is in year 1.5, I want to say, of his tenure. But we knew this going into the season. You knew what the pitching staff was. AJ Hinch told you what we were going to be under Chris Vetter in terms of what he was going to do with this pitching staff, Jack Flaherty included. We knew what the pitching staff could be. That's one you can't hold on Scott Harris. Not everything on this team is his fault. Not everything with this record is his. But that particular point right there, Scott, you knew that going into the season. This one's on you.
No question.
$60 million they got to throw out the window yet on Javi. They will cut him. They're going to eat $60 million.
Right.
That's going out the window. Now you want to sign Skubal for $400 million?
But
it ain't happening.
I think that's also why one of the reasons. Remember when Kirk Gibson came up to us at the Calvin Johnson golf outing and said, sign Skubal today? 2 years ahead of the time that you have to sign him. Maybe you could get him for $250.
Scott Boras is his agent.
Well.
Okay? I rest my case.
Right. Okay.
He's getting $400, Ryan.
Yeah.
That's what he's getting.
But I was going to say, to the point that Ryan just made, that you have to spend money to, I guess, win a championship. The last team to win a championship outside of the top 10 in payroll is the Astros, and they were ranked at 17. And then before that was the Royals at number 13. So it's more so you're going to have to spend money. So it's more so a matter of where are the Tigers going to want to spend the money? Are they going to want to lock down an ace in Tarek Skubal, or are they going to want to try to trade for some prospects like Jackson Holliday and whoever else may come along and then decide to pay them? So you're going to have to pay somebody regardless, however it go, though.
I'd be curious to see what the likelihood that Jackson Holliday is even remotely close to being on the market.
Only for Skubal. Only for Skubal.
Have you seen Ben Verlander's tweets?
Yeah, I always follow
about how maddening it is that the Tigers have just ruined their organization. Correct. Essentially.
Yes.
Now
Broder says the reason they didn't take Langford and they took Clark is he believes that Harris thinks they're still 3 years away. So I say that still don't make sense to me. Why don't you think? What's Langford going to be gone in 3 years? No.
He'd be what, 25 years old in 3 years, coming into his prime.
Yes. And there's a guy out there in Toronto, Vladdy Guerrero's 25. He's not going to be a Blue Jay.
Struggling.
How'd you like to have him at a corner?
Right. Struggling. Interesting stuff, man. I don't know. I'm just.
I'm telling you, Ryan, you got to make the deal, man.
Well, if you can make it, then make it.
Make it.
Make it then. You may have convinced me. I
hope so.
Just because.
You just want to shut me up?
No, just because of the ownership. Are you going to pay the guy?
They're not, bro.
You know?
And do you know if you lose them, they get a pick.
Right.
They get a draft pick.
Right. And if 2 years from now, you're right in the thick of things, what are you going to do? Trade him?
Oh my God.
You
can't get more than you could get right now for him.
Guys, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll go around the NFL. Intern Alex coming up as well. But first, a message from Premier Pets. Oh, Guardian Alarm. My bad. Guardian Alarm. Absolutely.
Black and yellow sign out in front of your house. It tells the bad guys one thing.
Stay out.
Let Guardian Alarm offer you customized solutions from real experts, 24/7 professional monitoring, and technology backed by people. This technology has been proven to work, and also these people have been proven to care. So call 1-800.
Stay out.
That's 1-800.
Stay out.
Call them today. Tell them Woodward Sports sent you. We'll be right back.
Thank you to the Detroit Lions and Sheila Hamp for the best season in Lions history. Now it's time to let Brad Holmes cook. Woodward Sports.
Braylon Edwards here, Premier Pet Supply. Man, just looking around, who's got it better than pets? Come on, a baby stroller for Coda? A chef for Lola? Really? You don't have to tell me who the real boss here is. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody, especially here at Premier Pet Supply. For over 30 years and more than 13 locations, Premier Pet Supply has everything that your pet can dream of, and guess what? It's all under one roof. Premier Pet Supply, family owned, operated, and proud to call Metro Detroit home. Check out premierpetsupply.com or scan the QR code today. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody!
A network for the city, by the city. Woodward Sports is Detroit Sports.
The Ally Challenge presented by McLaren is back August 22nd through 25th at Warwick Hills and Grand Blanc. Be there for PGA Tour Champions Golf, Family Night, concerts, and more. Tickets start at just $15. Get yours at allychallenge.com today.
The most talked about Detroit media by other Detroit media. And we love it. It's the Woodward Sports Network.
Yo, let me just say, I love Planet Fitness.
Try out Planet Fitness and dang, they got lots of equipment.
Not me getting a Planet Fitness membership just for the 24-hour perk.
Listen, the PF Black Card is worth every penny for this hydro massage. I'm a new man.
Did y'all know that the PF app has workouts you can do at home? Cheapest therapy I can find is Planet Fitness.
All the benefits, all for less. Planet Fitness, big fitness energy for all.
Congratulations to the real Coach of the Year, Motor City Dan Campbell.
Just put your head down and go to work. It's about to be fun, man. It's about to be fun.
Woodward Sports.
Any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men and claim your throne for a king's treatment from one of our talented stylists. Open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Just get to a Lady Jane's today and receive a precision haircut, scalp massage, hot lather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. A haircut should not be a chore. It should be an experience. And that's exactly what Lady Jane's has to offer. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins are always welcome. There's always a location near you. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, it's wicked awesome.
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
Are you tired of wearing the same old Detroit sports merch? It's a new era in sports wearables, new designs, amazing apparel, and the ultimate swag. Check out Woodward Sports' latest gear at woodwardsports.com and click shop. Hoodies, tees, and hats that are guaranteed to turn heads. Get the latest designs today at Woodward Shops or woodwardsports.com and click shop.
Welcome back, Woodward Sports Network. Ryan Ermanni, Braylon Edwards, Tom Mazaway, intern Joel, intern Pete Spivak. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, I wanted to see how long it took.
Reaction.
Yeah, I wanted to see how long it would take. Hey, before we go around the NFL, a couple of things. Maz, you have been on this TNT NBA rights story for a long time. Catch us up on where this is.
Yesterday, TNT decided, hey, we're going to match the Amazon deal. They don't say Amazon, but it is the Amazon part of this multi-billion-dollar, $7 billion deal that the NBA has. So TNT says we have the right to match it. They did. They turned the paperwork into the NBA. Now it's the NBA's decision. What are they going to do? Are they going to allow TNT to keep their position? If they do, that would be 10 more years of inside the NBA with Ernie and the boys. That would be fabulous. The only thing is, today I read, and I kind of knew this, that the NBA really wants Amazon as a partner, and they want the streaming part is why they really want to go this route.
And here's what it says. The league is considering TNT's counteroffer and could respond by the end of the week, I hear. The problem for TNT is the league still prefers Prime's bid, according to my sources. If the NBA rejects TNT's match, the network may have no choice but to sue, possibly arguing the league negotiated in bad faith, Braylon.
100%. Also, too, I think they want to be with Amazon. They want to be with Bezos. You see a situation, you see Bezos. Bezos is just the wave of whatever is coming next.
It is.
You don't sign with him. You basically say, F you, I'm going to stick with TNT. That's what they fear. They fear that partnership down the road, down in the future, and whatever the hell Jeff Bezos built. I think that's more so than anything. They want the streaming, but they also don't want to get left in the dust of whatever he's going to create, because all he does is create, right?
I believe in the long run, they will tell TNT to pound salt. TNT will sue, and they'll probably settle for something. I believe TNT's last year will be this year. I wish it wasn't, but that's the old school guy in me. I mean, how much longer is Charles Barkley going to go for it? How long is Chuck going to do it?
How long can Kenny knees hold up?
Right.
How long can Kenny Smith knees hold up?
Right. And you know what? Yeah. How many times is he going to trip up the stairs?
Exactly.
And Ernie is taking the rest of the baseball season off. Did you hear about that?
No.
He's tending to a sick family member. And he battled cancer as well. So they're bringing Greg Amsinger over from MLB Network to run their Major League Baseball stuff throughout the year. So we'll miss Ernie on that. So I'm really believing that as much as we love inside the NBA, I think it will be its last year this year. But they're fighting. And give them that.
Those guys are probably ready to be done.
Yes.
Yeah.
They've already made their decision. Mentally.
Yep.
Last season was their last season, or this would be their last season. I think coming up.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm asking you a question I never thought about like this. Is this a thing where TNT's trying to make it a money situation where they know those guys aren't coming back regardless, so they get enough money, they get the investors, they match the bid as they're allowed to do, knowing full well they don't want to do the show.
Right.
They can sue, and now they can settle out of point and put some money on the books.
Yeah. It's a good show of faith from TNT to save some face.
Maybe the NBA cuts them a few games. Maybe the NBA cuts them an extra package out of this. Maybe.
Yeah, but at the same time, then you cannot afford to pay Charles, Kenny, Shaq You can't, because you don't get the return on that.
And TNT has also delved into now the college football playoff.
Right.
They will share with ESPN. So they spent a lot of money. I think they're just doing this to stick it to the NBA.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Most likely, because they already know the decision's been made.
Yeah.
Couple of things too. Did you see what's my good friend Ben Fawkes who covers gambling? The Pistons win total over 25.5.
24.5?
24.5.
Yes, 24.5.
Is the most bet NBA season win total at BetMGM this offseason.
How about that?
95% of the bets, 97% of the money on the Pistons to win more than 24.5 games.
So that's 11 games.
An 11-game improvement?
Right, an 11-game improvement.
BetMGM won't even be around to pay these people in a year. I hate that doggone that. But that's neither here nor there.
Either way, nonetheless, a lot of people are pretty high on what the Pistons have done so far this offseason.
Stability. And I think if anything, it was just it's stability. I think what people have seen from afar, they've seen Trajan Langdon come in, they've seen fire Monty Williams, get rid of Troy Weaver. They brought in some veteran players that can go with these young players, kind of see what these young players really have. They've hired a coach in J.B. Bickerstaff who knows how to turn teams around. You saw what they were in Cleveland before he got there. You saw they finished 500 or more the last 3 seasons in a row going to the playoffs. So I think you've seen that from afar. Okay, we can take this serious now. Now we can look at Cade Cunningham and see what he can be, and you add some players around him. So I think that stability and what Trajan Langdon is coming down in a very small window, I think that's what people see.
Yeah.
And the Lions are very heavily bet as well. So 2 Detroit teams got a lot of money on them riding.
Well, there's a lot to be excited about as well, you know, when it comes to these guys. And again, I said the Pistons have given me a pulse. What they did this offseason. Now, I do believe they've got 10 teams to jump in the Eastern Conference, but you got to start somewhere. You got to start with a plan.
Yeah.
You got to start with a couple of players.
This is true.
And you go from there.
What do you think about that, Joe?
I will say, if that line doesn't move before the start of the season, though, then that's not a good sign for the Pistons. If the Vegas would be that confident, or even BetMGM would be that confident, just keep the line at 24.5, even with all that money and all the percent of bets, that won't be a good sign for us.
It sounds about right, though.
You know,
I mean, how many more wins can they squeeze out of this?
Well, no,
group?
I was telling, I think it was on heavyweights. I was telling them, I'm saying, like, the signings we did make, when I really like sat down and like assessed it with like just after like I guess getting
what this person could be.
Yeah, getting rid of the excitement of the initial signing, I started looking. I'm like, all right, Tim Hardaway, a little streaky. I'm like, all right, Malik Beasley, a little streaky. Tobias Harris, a little streaky. So I'm like, if they just streaky throughout the season and it never really syncs up, then I could easily see where it does get below that. Like, not like it would probably be like right there at like 22 games or something like that. But like, you got to think we starting at like bare bottom. So it's like even 22, 23 wins would be an improvement, but it wouldn't be that 24.5 number though.
When's the last time you think the Pistons won more than 24 games?
2017.
I was just about to say
close. 2018, 2019. They
I
won.
like that team.
They won 41 games.
Was that Blake?
I enjoyed that. I went to a lot of games
Drummond.
that year.
Really? 2018, 2019?
Yeah, I love that.
What did you like
team.
about that team?
They competed every day, every game they competed. I just thought it was a real fun team to go watch. I brought my kids to a few games. I really, really liked that team, and then they tore it all down.
Can I ask somebody that's younger? Can I ask Joe this question, Ryan?
Yeah.
So you watched the Pistons when Blake was here, correct, Joe?
Yeah.
You paid attention to what they were doing.
Yeah.
Does Blake get unfair criticism of his time here? Because if you talk to Pistons fans, they hate Blake Griffin. They said he didn't show up.
Really?
A lot of people do not like Blake Griffin in his time here, and I want to know, is that a Blake thing, or is that just you don't like the era and Tom Gores?
I was gonna say I figured most people had liked Blake Griffin, but
I think
that probably had to have been like you said, it probably had to have been an association with the team, and just the era of what Blake Griffin was associated with. But Blake Griffin as a player, he came out, competed every night, even played through injury, wheeled us to a playoff game. Granted, we got swept, but we were 8th seed. But it's like he literally like wheeled us to that point. Like it was some games he literally won by his like self almost. So it's like I have nothing but respect and admiration for Blake Griffin, what he did here.
We didn't get that highlight Blake jumping over the Kia cars, although he jumped over the front, but that's neither here nor there.
Did he not dunk for like 2 years here?
And that's what I was going to say. We didn't get that, and then he dunked in Brooklyn. That pissed a lot of people off when I think his first game. But we didn't get that version, but we got a version that was much more of a leader than he was at the Clippers. He was much more of a tougher player you could depend on than he was with the Clippers.
Got him to the playoffs.
And like you said,
he was at his best as an overall
as a complete player.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah,
I agree.
All right, guys, we're going to take a break. We'll switch it up back to college football. We go. Intern Alex in the house. We'll talk to him, part of Wolverine Wednesday right here on Woodward Sports. But first, a message from Wake Up Woodward.
Wake Up Woodward. What you call start your day with Detroit's new morning show, Wake Up Woodward, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 with JB, Kool-Aid, Broder, and even what you call Justin. Every day, 8 to 10, sports talk, banter, and live fan interaction on Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports.
For you to have your insurance reviewed, and Swiss Insurance will make sure the air carrier is not slipping in those extra fees. Call Mark at Swiss Insurance today, 313-530-1698, or visit SwissINS.com. We'll be right back.
Thank you to the Detroit Lions and Sheila Ham for the best season in Lions history. Now it's time to let Brad Holmes cook. Woodward Sports.
The Ally Challenge presented by McLaren is back August 22nd through 25th at Warwick Hills and Grand Blanc. Be there for PGA Tour Champions Golf, Family Night, concerts, and more. Tickets start at just $15. Get yours at allychallenge.com today.
You smell that? That's Brad Holmes cooking. And the off-season smells good. Woodward Sports.
Braylon Edwards here, Premier Pet Supply. Man, just looking around. Who's got it better than pets? Come on, a baby stroller for Coda? A chef for Lola? Really? You don't have to tell me who the real boss here is. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody, especially here at Premier Pet Supply. For over 30 years and more than 13 locations, Premier Pet Supply has everything that your pet can dream of, and guess what? It's all under one roof. Premier Pet Supply, family owned, operated, and proud to call Metro Detroit home. Check out premierpetsupply.com or scan the QR code today. Who's got it better than pets?
Nobody! Congratulations to the real Coach of the Year, Motor City Dan Campbell.
Just put your head down and go to work. It's about to be fun, man. It's about to be fun.
Woodward Sports.
Oh, let me just say, I love Planet Fitness.
Try out Planet Fitness and dang, they got lots of equipment.
Not me getting a Planet Fitness membership just for the 24-hour perk.
Listen, the PF Black Card is worth every penny for this hydro massage. I'm a new man.
Did y'all know that the PF app has workouts you can do at home? Cheapest therapy I can find is Planet Fitness.
All the benefits, all for less. Planet Fitness, big fitness energy for all.
The most talked about Detroit media by other Detroit media, and we love it. It's the Woodward Sports Network.
Any Lady Jane's haircuts for men and claim your throne for a king's treatment from one of our talented stylists. Open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Just get to a Lady Jane's today and receive a precision haircut, scalp massage, hot lather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. A haircut should not be a chore. It should be an experience. And that's exactly what Lady Jane's has to offer. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins are always welcome. There's always a location near you. Lady Jane's haircuts for men, it's wicked awesome.
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
The Ally Challenge presented by McLaren is back August 22nd through the 25th at Warwick Hills. Leave the golf to the pros and don't miss the party at 17. $2 birdies, beers, concerts, and more. Get your tickets at allychallenge.com.
That'll be real fun. Jim Furyk there. He'll be a part of that. Also, KDK Law. I'd like to tell you about them dealing with divorce, child custody, visitation, other family law issues. Kevin and Catherine at KDK Law in Birmingham will have your back. 10 plus years of experience 24/7 availability. Scan that QR code on the screen or call 248-971-0476. Say Woodward Sports sent you. KDK will pay your filing fee. KDK Law. Hey, got your back.
I know you guys heard me reading that read a little funny. It had in parentheses the right way to pronounce those words. It's L-I and then McLaren. It's funny, I'm sitting here with 3 Michigan guys. You know, there's one thing we are arrogant about. It's education. I didn't need that parentheses, so L-I McLaren.
L-I Challenge, McLaren. Hey, it's intern Alex. It is part of our Wolverine Wednesday. Brought to you by our friends at Skinny Butcher. Alex, how are you, my friend? It is so great to see you actually in studio today. How you doing, my friend?
You know, I'm doing great. You know, it feels like college football is right around the corner. We got 30 days until Florida State and Georgia Tech kick off the season in Dublin, Ireland. And we got Big Ten Media Day, so it really feels like we're here in the new era of college football finally.
No doubt about that.
I'm actually going to match your energy. Yesterday, I was at Sharon Moore's outing at U of M golf course. A lot of excitement, a lot of the players there. I got a chance to mix and match, talk to Colston Loveland, Samaj Morgan, got a chance to talk to his father. Got a chance to see that trophy. That trophy is a thing of beauty. But I got a chance to talk to some of the defensive linemen. I'm very, very, very excited about this season because now I'm thinking about this defensive line. This is going to be the strong point for the Michigan Wolverines this season. But I'm thinking about how much that secondary is going to benefit. You look at Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, and then Derek Moore. You look at them being players that didn't play every snap, but they rotated in. They rotated on the defensive line that saw 2 players get drafted. I'm excited because as the defensive line goes, how good can Hill and Johnson be in the back end in that secondary with that defensive line?
I mean, you know, they had the opportunity to be spectacular. Will Johnson's already the best cornerback in college football. Then Jair Hill, highly rated recruit, but he's also super young. A lot of people didn't realize he didn't turn 18 until the season last year, like as it was going on.
As a kid.
So even though he was a true freshman, he was still a super young kid and had a lot of time and much needed development. But this defensive line, you know, a lot of people are saying it's going to be Ohio State or Georgia this year. I see no reason why it can't be Michigan is the best in college football because this is the same 4 guys we had on the field when Milroe got stopped on 4th down in the Rose Bowl between Graham, Moore, and Josiah Stewart. So, you know, they're not going to need to cover for a lot of time out there. So, you know, they're going to really help out that secondary.
Excellent point. And one of the things I was talking to Braylon about earlier, Alex, was I think this Michigan football team is going to be much better at the end of the year than they are at the beginning of the year. But how important is it for that defense specifically to keep this offense alive early in the season? This defense, keep them in games. Just keep them around. And maybe Alex Orji, and we believe he'll be the quarterback. We could be wrong about that, but we believe that's who the guy will be now. Just keep these guys in the game to at least give the offense a chance to come along, develop, and make a couple of plays here and there.
Yeah, you know, the defense really is going to be the X factor for this team. You know, week 2, we have Texas. If we get in that track meet with Texas, that favors them completely with how good their O-line is, how good Quinn Ewers is, how good that receiving core is. But then also some of our other early games, USC, you know, Lincoln Riley's program, all the publicity around them is, you know, USC won't be able to handle the Big Ten and the physicality, but we have to bring that physicality to them and make sure that they cannot handle that. So that's where we need our D-line to go and try to eat that offensive line alive. Then even a team like Washington, who they lost a lot of players, but they have Jed Fish, who, you know, had experience at Michigan as an assistant coach and is great working the passing game. We saw what he was able to do at Arizona last year, and then he also has NFL experience, you know, with the New England Patriots. So we really have to be able to keep teams in front of us so we can keep doing our traditional, you know, run first, ground and pound style game.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'm curious to see what Michigan does offensively this year too. I mean, are they gonna just stay on the ground? Are they going to open it up? Are they going to be a good mix? What kind of offense will this football team be? I mean, we knew that Jim Harbaugh's style was ground and pound. Is this a ground and pound team?
Yeah, I kind of think it will be. I think we're going to see a lot of bully ball. You know, even though we're replacing a lot of offensive line starters, we have a lot of guys with experience, and, you know, we're a team with pretty much 2 offensive line coaches. We have Sharon Moore, who did a great job, and then Grant Newsom's done a great job as tight ends coach and was a former, you know, offensive lineman himself. So I have full faith in that development. And then also, you know, we have such a deep tight end room this year. Loveland, you know, national name, Mackey Award front runner. And then Marlon Klein's been getting a ton of hype in spring ball for how athletic he is in his athletic profile. Max Bredson's great at fullback. So I think you're going to see Michigan come out in a lot of heavy personnel and really, you know, take the use their size to their advantage and take the game to the teams, because they're going to be seeing stacked boxes, but between their linemen, their tight end, their great running backs, and then how big and physical Alex Orji is, I think we're going to ground and pound and really force teams to try to match us that way.
Two things. One's a statement, one's a question for you. I got a chance to talk to some of the offensive linemen. Ryan, I told you there's a bunch of different players on every hole, so you get a chance to kind of interact with these guys. I talked to some young offensive linemen, and what I asked them, I said, hey, what's going to be different about this year? They talked about the difference between having Coach Sharon Moore be the offensive line coach and the head coach. They said a lot of times when you got coach in a duality role, they got so much emphasis on the game plan, so much emphasis on getting the coaches together, so much emphasis on are they going to win the game. Sometimes the details, sometimes things like that get lost in the shuffle. This year with Coach Newsome, they get a chance to listen to offensive line play, the specifics, especially getting better week by week, day by day. So I love that. Talking about Coach Sharon Moore, Jim Harbaugh's gone. We all talked about him, what he did, his tenure there, how it finished last year. Could this be a good thing? And the reason why I ask could this be a good thing is now you have a young coach in Sharon Moore who is a little more connected to the kids, a little more connected to the culture, and also learning this NIL space the right way. That's the first question he asked to the donors and the people that attended yesterday. He said, we got to get this NIL thing, man. We need you guys. So although Jim's Jim, could this be a good thing that Sharon Moore is now in control in this specific space as NCAA is changing?
I think so 100%. This sport is drastically different from when he even came in 2015 to Michigan.
Yeah.
We've seen a changing of the guard with a lot of the elite coaches kind of leaving or retiring the sport with, Saban retiring or Harbaugh going. But I think Sharon Moore is ultimately good for Michigan. I think Harbaugh, great coach. He's on the Mount Rushmore of Michigan coaches of all time. But if you look at it, I think Sharon Moore is going to be a lot more pro portal. You be able to plug your holes that way. And then also NIL, Michigan is kind of slow compared to some other schools. I'm not saying go full Texas A&M or Oregon and just pay any recruit who wants to come to your school because they have 5 stars by their name. But you do need to be more proactive with that to get the right players inside Schembechler Hall, who they'll still then buy into your culture in your system of development. So I do think this might be a good thing for Michigan in the long term, bringing in Sharon Moore instead of having Jim Harbaugh wearing the skinny M.
Yeah, I like that 100%. And I think the other thing that's good about that, Ryan and Alex, is he was here when Jim was building the thing. So he got to see both sides of it. He knows the in-out spaces and where they got to get better, and that's how he's going to help. But he was here when they were building Smash. He was here when they were building that, so I think he's going to be in both worlds, Ryan.
No doubt about it. And, Alex, one of the things I wanted to ask you is there a player that you are pinpointing as maybe a guy that the masses don't know yet, but come mid-season, all Michigan fans will know his name? Do you have that player?
I do, yeah. I mean, this might be a little cheat because he wasn't on the roster last year, but I think Jayshon Barham, the transfer linebacker from Maryland, he's looking to be one of the top linebackers in college football. And if you remember, he had a great game against Michigan last year. He had 8 tackles and then I believe forced a fumble as well. And was just a problem for us all day long. And now you plug him in on a way better defense where he's behind a better offensive line or defensive line. He'll be playing next to a better linebacker in Ernest Hausman than any other linebacker he's with at Maryland. So I think he's primed to really be able to have a big breakout season. And then, he's filling in for Junior Colson, who we saw led the team in tackles and did great in coverage. So we know there's a role in this defense for him, and I think it fits his skill set really well.
Let's stay on the defensive side of the ball, and we're talking to our good friend, intern Alex. It's our Wolverine Wednesday segment brought to you by Skinny Butcher. And, Alex, talk to me about Wink Martindale. That's a guy that we don't really hear a lot about. It's a guy we don't hear a lot from. He comes over from the New York Giants, a very long and successful career in the NFL, back to the college ranks. And this defense has been among the best in the country for the last 2 or 3 or 4 years. Well, certainly the last 3 years. What will he bring to this defense, and what would you say to Michigan fans out there that are like, Don Brown 2.0?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Don Brown 2.0, I think a lot of people are really just kind of pointing that out because he is known for blitzing in the NFL, and then, they look kind of similar,
right?
Just calling it straight up. But, I don't think he will be blitzing that much because he has such a good defensive line. And also, he even said in his press conferences, he likes to bring pressure, but that doesn't mean he's going to all day long. And, we've had so much success with Mike McDonald and Jesse Minter, but he was a guy who, he was the defensive coordinator on those Ravens staffs where like they got their experience, their training with this defense. So he is this father of this defensive system we've been running the past few years. And I think we're just going to see a continuation of it. Now we might see some more twists with, simulated pressure, which he liked to run a lot in New York and Baltimore. But I think overall we're going to see a lot of continuity with that defensive system all year long.
Quick question for you. We kind of talked before you on the show in the first hour of the show, and we talked about Chip Kelly coming to Ohio State, Chip Kelly going down there to Columbus. There could be a friction. When you talk about a guy that's been in control, he was the reason why Oregon football exploded back in the, mid-2000s, late 2000s, when Oregon football took off. He was at the helm of that. You saw him go to the league, and he's with UCLA. Now he's on the staff as an offensive coordinator, and Ryan Day has supposedly released the reins. But you can see a situation potentially happen down the line where it's not working out, and you got one guy trying to be in control, the other guy is actually the head coach. Could that be a friction thing, or am I reaching too much?
It surely could be a friction thing, but I'm not sure if it's going to be the biggest because Chip Kelly and Ryan Day have worked together.
Okay.
Ryan Day got his start actually at New Hampshire on Chip Kelly's staff back in the day. So they are friends and go back a while. And then Chip Kelly seemed to be a guy who really was tired of the transfer portal, tired of having to recruit both sides of the ball and dealing with NIL. So he said he just wanted to go back to coaching football. But, we're going to see a big shift. Ryan Day's always been a pass-first coach his whole life. Yeah. Chip Kelly's known for his spread offense and his running attack, which he's had at Oregon. He tried running in the NFL to not much success and then did it again at UCLA to a little bit more. So, we are going to see some friction and turnover in that roster. Are they built to run a Chip Kelly offense? Yeah, they look stacked on paper, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, you try to run a spread offense, but you get rid of Shady McCoy, which would be the best person to run there with. I never understood that. Yeah, it's one thing when you're young and you're the guy and Chip Kelly's the head coach and he gave you the job and you're on his staff. But Chip Kelly's not on Ryan Day's staff, so just keep your eyes out.
Let me ask you this overall Big Ten question. And we all know the teams, Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Michigan. I'm going to name for you 4 teams. Tell me who you think is the best of the 4, and if any one of these 4 teams could surprise anybody this year. Rutgers, Nebraska, Iowa, Wisconsin.
I'm going to cheat pick 2 here, but I'm going to rank them 1 and 2.
Okay.
So the first is Iowa, and I don't really think they should be a surprise team because, last year...
Is Cade McNamara back?
He is back for another year. But this is a team that went 10-2 in the regular season, and outside of their 31-0 loss at Penn State, which is bad, their only other loss is 10-12 loss at Minnesota, which, if you remember, Cooper DeJean had a punt return touchdown called back, so that was bad. But this is a team that returns 10 starters from one of the best defense in the Big Ten, and then of the big 4 or 5 teams in the Big Ten, they avoid most of them. They only play at Ohio State, but they avoid Michigan, Penn State, USC, and Oregon this year. So they have a super soft schedule and could march in the Big Ten championship game 11-1. Then Nebraska, the other surprise team, they went 5-7 last year. However, they did that with a negative 17 turnover differential. They gave up 31 on the offensive side of the ball and only forced 14, but they returned 19 starters and then bring in, the 5-star touted quarterback Dylan Raiola, who looked great as a high schooler and was one of the most touted recruits in the country. So they can bring down the turnovers or just keep doing well in run defense, which they're one of the best in the country. And then Raiola does good as a freshman, they could easily get up to 8 or 9 wins this year and really surprise a lot of people.
Is your name Mel Kiper or I'm telling you, he's not even looking at anything off the top of his head.
Yeah.
31 points a game. They don't play before the top. I mean, incredible. You are as knowledgeable, and I mean this. You are as knowledgeable about this stuff as any guest we have talking about whatever subject they're talking about. And we appreciate you being so prepared. That is incredible stuff. 2 coaches I want to ask you about. Greg Schiano at Rutgers and Matt Rule at Nebraska. Matt Rule was an NFL coach. He didn't come to Nebraska to go 5-7 every year or 6-6 every year. Just how much pressure is on a guy like Matt Rule? And then, what do you make of Greg Schiano at Rutgers? It feels like he's been just kind of clawing on the outside looking in of a top half of the Big Ten anyway.
Yeah, I mean, to start off with Matt Rule, he came from the NFL, but he's kind of following the trends he's had everywhere in his college coaching career. Both at Temple and Baylor, the first years weren't great. He wasn't an instant turnaround guy, but slowly each year the teams got better. And he was at both stops for 3 years, and at each school he got to 10 wins in their 3rd year. So, currently if he's on that pace and he gets to that 8 or 9 this year, like I just said, and, next year 10 would be right on track. And Nebraska is a fan base that, after Mike Riley and Scott Frost, they kind of have a lot of patience right now. Like, they haven't been good in a long time, but they've seen the true depths of despair that even Michigan didn't in like the Rich Rod or Hoke era. Yeah. And then, Greg Schiano at Rutgers, he's doing a great job of just, he took a team that was a true basement dweller of college football, not even just the Big Ten. And he slowly got them up, doing all the right things, just getting a really sound fundamental team, cutting down on the stupid penalties that used to just plague Rutgers all the time. And then on the recruiting front, New Jersey is a state that really does have a lot of state pride. And he's kind of using that to build. And you're starting to see now, like, there's a linebacker a few weeks ago who committed to Rutgers over Michigan and Clemson. So he's starting to use that state pride buy-in. They're already at like 29 commits in the 2025 class. He's able to do that and get this program really rolling on an upward track, So Rutgers is looking good in the long term in a place that I don't think any other coach in college football really could have done other than Greg Schiano.
Very impressive stuff.
We weren't very rude. We were legitimately
looking at each other
marveling and it's basically we first met you in, but now just watching you.
Proud of you, buddy. Proud of you.
Thank
Absolutely.
You, I remember we first had Ari Mayroff on, man. This is when he first was getting started. Blah blah blah. But like just what I paid attention to his research, his knowledge, and just his personality. He had a good personality too, much like yourself, brother.
Can I ask you a college question?
Yeah.
What do you eat in Ann Arbor? What's some of your favorite restaurants? What kind of food do you eat? What kind of food do you eat? Do you go to Pizza House a lot?
I'm a big fan of the
Rick's back room.
Oh yeah, back room. Been there a few times. Love Frita Potatoes down there, and also Blimpie Burger. The Ann Arbor Classic. You got to go.
Amazing.
Get the triple 3 or 4 patties. Depending on how good the workout was that day. And yeah, so those are the campus staples for a reason. And
I always call it Rick's back room because you go to Rick's and then you go to back room.
You go to back room.
You don't do one without the other.
What's an overrated restaurant in Ann Arbor? Like,
overrated?
I'm just saying. One which they talk about a lot, but you yourself was like, it wasn't my favorite, but it is a big one in Ann Arbor. The Michigan experience.
Me personally, you kind of just brought it up. I think Pizza House is slightly overrated.
I knew it. That's why I asked the question.
They kind of price gouge you these days for what you get. So it's they're not really looking out for their student base that well. So I'm gonna have to go with Pizza House.
I saw Brent Musburger get carried out of that place after it was awesome, man. You are looking live at Pizza House on Church Street in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
You got to give me one, Ryan. Overrated experience in Ann Arbor.
Overrated experience in
Pizza
Ann Arbor.
I think I don't agree with it, but I like it as an option.
Overrated experience.
There's no. Like food.
I know. I'm thinking.
I'll go.
Okay, you go.
I think Brown Jug's overrated.
Brown Jug was very overrated.
I think Brown Jug's overrated. People meet there. It's the hangout. It's on Southview. But it's overrated.
Yep. Touchdowns is overrated. It's not touchdowns anymore, though, is it?
Not the parties. Not the parties.
Oh, my gosh.
Touchdowns, blue lep. That's what it's called now.
Take a look at the national championship picture right now. Five teams that you think will likely compete for a national championship if the season started today. 5 teams you're looking at.
I mean, college football for the foreseeable future runs through Athens, Georgia. Kirby Smart won 2 national titles prior to this one, dominates in recruiting, Saban disciple, really learned how to run the program well, and then has way more built-in advantages like being by, the biggest airport in America and a more talent-rich state than Alabama. So Georgia's number 1. Texas, Sarkisian's doing a great job with his quarterback recruiting and development with Ewers. Then he's got Arch Manning coming down the pipeline, and that's just, that's a monster of a program once they get up and rolling as well, similar to Georgia. As much as I hate to say it, this Ohio State roster does have all the pieces to win a national championship. Still a lot of question marks there, like their linebackers and,
quarterback.
Will Howard, got ran out of town by a true freshman, Avery Johnson at Kansas State, so he can put it together. And then, outside of that, Oregon, Dylan Gabriel has put up numbers for years and years in college football. It feels like, he's one of these guys where, because of COVID and stuff, it's crazy that we're even talking about him still at the college level. Then pair that, with Dan Lanning, who's another Saban disciple, and, some great wide receivers. They can go on a run. But last year, they're way more of a team that crushed the bad ones. And then against the good teams like Washington and USC, they struggle a little more. So we need to see that. And then, honestly, this is going to be an extreme homer take, but I'll throw Michigan in there.
Yeah.
We know they have an elite defense. I think Alex Orji's ceiling is similar to that of Tim Tebow. Now, I don't expect him to look like Tim Tebow necessarily, but I think if all the pieces come together, I don't see why Michigan can't make a deep run this year as well.
Here's a fun one. I'm going on in the SEC right now. I know you guys are hearing UT. When you hear UT, what comes to mind?
Texas.
So you see they're switching UT. They're going to call Texas Techs. And when the SEC is referring to Texas, they're going to call them Techs.
Really?
When they're talking about UT, it'll be Tennessee. I understand that part, but just say UT and see who responds. Right. At the end of the day, UT is Texas. 100%. But in the SEC, I can understand. They've been there forever. They got Peyton and a national championship.
What do they call Missouri?
Mizzou.
They don't say U of M?
Hell
no.
Alex, the only U of M they tried to create, like we shut it down years ago, that's Minnesota. Like, shut up.
Alex.
KU and UK.
KU is Kansas. UK is Kentucky. Alex, thanks so much for being in here. Love it when you're in studio, man. Would love to see you in studio more.
Blame Wednesday on Maz last week, man. Wasn't me.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. And we're going to try to get Alex to cover the Wolverines for us here exclusively on Woodward Sports and our show here, the Ermanni and Edwards with Maz program. We're trying to make that happen. Alex is one of the most knowledgeable guys about Michigan football. We're going to want that expertise and that knowledge throughout the season. Alex, thank you so much, buddy. Wolverine Wednesday brought to you by Skinny Butcher. That is going to do it for us. Bray, get us out of here, my friend.
We appreciate you guys for tuning in. All fun when the gang's here, including my man intern Alex, who is no longer intern, as you heard his knowledge. Appreciate you in that booth, Joel, as well as the man to my right, the right hand. Peace, Spyback, Tom Mazaway. Can't see him on screen. He's chilling over there. And Ryan Ermanni.
Just quickly, if I may, I just get a little bit of a taste. And Maz, I know you don't have a microphone, but tonight I am going to watch. I've got Little League tonight, but after I get home from Little League, I'm going to watch the Hard Knocks from last night. Was last night a good episode? It was good. Superb, because I read about Saquon Barkley. He was mad that he didn't know that he was being recorded on the phone, and he says they made me look bad.
Oh, side note, I could throw something out there. And when the Dolphins were on Hard Knocks, Maz, I know you would know. When the Dolphins were on, I think that was the same year that happened with Chad, with the headbutt, when Chad got kicked off the team, but whatever. Ocho Cinco, I apologize. That's how people know him. I tried out for the Dolphins before I went and tried out for the Seahawks. Got the job with the Seahawks, didn't get it with the Dolphins. I didn't know that they recorded me as well until somebody showed me an episode where they had me. It wasn't just audio. They had me come in there. They talked about the process, whatever. I didn't sign off on that. I didn't sign anything, and I was pissed because I wasn't in the space that I was comfortable in. So they don't give a you-know-what.
No kid, what season was that?
This would have been the 2012 season. So this would have been whatever that season was. 2012 is when I went out there. And then I played with the Seahawks that year. But I was pissed. I was trying to get my legal team together and say, let's do something. But I dropped it and kept it going.
Man.
They don't care.
So great.
Everyone said the minute Joe Shane called him and asked him and told him it was going to be, go out, see what you can get, he knew it was over then.
And for those of you that didn't hear Maz off the mic, he said, Saquon said the minute Joe Shane told Saquon that he can go out and see what he's worth on the open market, he knew it was over. So there you go. All right, Braylon, now for real, you can get it.
And most importantly, we thank you, the fans, for tuning in to Ermanni and Edwards.
Great job to Joel, by the way,
day.
too.
Joel in the booth doing his thing. And we appreciate the insight. As I gotta give me one of those freaky knit hats, man. Give me one of those, man. We appreciate you guys, and we will see you tomorrow. Locked and loaded. You have a good one.